What if I were to tell you that there were customs lurking in the shadows? Unfeeling creatures of ones and zeros. Born of environmentally unfriendly resins and ultraviolet lasers. If I told you that, it would be the truth. For they are watching, disguised and dangerous, lurking for the opportune moment to strike. I am your guide to all that is unsettling, but there are some things for which even I am unprepared. Are you ready? Like and subscribe, please. For the love of all that is unholy, like and subscribe. Happy Halloween, everybody. It's my favorite time of year, and... Hold on.
That's better. It's my favorite time of year, Halloween time. I made these custom Sonic items for Halloween themed video. These two were printed on my FDM printer, and these two printed on my resin printer. These are really fun. This guy is a Crawlshell with a ghost part on top of him, just like in the game Sonic Superstars. That's what actually inspired this video, was the Carnival Act 2, where a bunch of the Batniks have ghosts on top of them, as if they're dressed up for Halloween. It's really cool. And some of you might be wondering why Birdie is included in this. It's because when I started streaming 3D modeling for this, people expressed interest in a birdie, so I gave a little witch hat. Now it's Halloween themed. What are you going to be for Halloween, and what are you going to be doing? Halloween! Ah, shoot!
Here are all the paints I used for Crawlshell. These yellow, black, and white paints are D&D branded. They're actually Army Painter brand, just licensed as D&D. The silver and orange are both from Vallejo. For details, I used these Artistro metallic markers I got off Amazon. This Pro Acryl is actually really interesting. You mix it with any color and it has a metallic sheen. The bumpers are just the accessories included with the shadow figures. For priming, I used Army Painter Ash Gray, and for sealer, I used Krylon Triple Gloss.
A whole box of them.
I streamed the 3D modeling of the figure. I have a lot of leftover bumpers that I measured with my micrometer. First, I built out shapes based on these measurements, just to get the proportions right. The body was pretty simple, just a lot of primitive shapes stuck together. Using spheres, I added small bolt details around the legs. Then I cut out a sphere shape in his claws. Once I was happy with the design, I set up a cloth physics simulation in Maya to create his ghostly sheet. It was a slow process, and y'all made it clear that it wasn't entertaining. But if you think this video is entertaining, turn those thumbs down around and hit that like button.
Like and subscribe, please.
Off screen, I finished up the simulation work. I had to clean up the geometry a little, and then I extruded it into a thicker shape. That extrusion needed some cleanup as well, but it ended up really satisfying. It came out of the printer really well on the first try. The fit of the sheet was perfect in the printed toy. Next, I needed to sand the sections where the support met the model. I worked really hard to match the red paint to the color of the bumpers. For the body, I made a mixture of roughly 1/3 yellow, 1/3 orange, and 1/3 metallic medium. With some adjustments as I mixed, I got the orange tone that I wanted for the figure. Then I painted silver on the claws with a mix of paint and the silver pen. Lastly, I finished his eyes with just some white and some black. So happy with how it turned out. It's a simple figure, but probably one of my favorites. I've been waiting all year for an excuse to make some Pumpkin Hill stuff. YBZ provided me a model of the background pumpkins. Since those are huge, I decided to make a hybrid of those stone structures and the jack-o'-lanterns around the stage. I used this orange, yellow, and white for the pumpkin part, and Pro Acryl light umber and wash for the rock part. I also used this Krylon stone spray paint as a base. This is printed on my new Bamboo P1S. Its quality is hit or miss, but it's better for big things than my resin printer. This print failed halfway through, so I had to build it in 2 parts.
The door is 32.
I used painter's tape to make sure that the stone texture didn't get on the pumpkin. Then I gave it a base coat of orange.
You're not alone.
And then brown for the base of the stone. For the eyes and the mouth, I tried this yellow paint pen, but it didn't work well for this, and I switched to paint later on. I mixed hues of orange to be slightly brighter than the previous layer, one at a time, to try to get some smooth shading. I dry brushed this, meaning my paint was not thinned with water, and I put very subtle layers on one at a time.
Hold on.
Now for the face, I did quite the opposite of dry brushing. I kept my paints very wet and didn't wait between layers for them to dry. This let me mix and blend the wet paints on the model. I used more and more white each time to give it a spooky glow. Then I dry brushed all around the rock with a light brown to bring out all the tiny details from the stone texture paint. After that dried, I went in with a black wash to darken a lot of the crevices. Dry brushing and a wash together do an excellent job at bringing out details. although usually it's done in the opposite order. Very spooky. Let's look at my spreadsheet. Fandom says Birdie, please. I'm not that inspired to make Birdie. I was just thinking of making it. But then I did make it. I started with the model from Sonic Adventure. The game is super low poly, as you can imagine, so I had to do a lot to get it working well as a print. This meant removing extra triangles, filling holes, smoothing in strategic ways, thickening fragile sections, and really so much more. I sculpted details in ZBrush with extra effort put into getting the mouth just right to capture his character. Most of that was done in texture in the game, so I really wanted to make sure it was in the model itself.
My knives are sticking through my ribs. I degrade while you're watching this. It's been a sick old time here in my mind.
I put a ton of work into the locket, going as far as sculpting wood detail in ZBrush. None of it shows in the final product, unfortunately. The wings were just a flat plane, so I had to thicken them up and pose them. It really is funny how much work goes into such a simple seeming model conversion. There's two versions too, one that's meant to be flying on a stand, and one that can stand on its feet. Then, of course, because this was a Halloween-themed stream, I made him a hat. That's my excuse of why Birdie fits in this video. Then I threw it in the slicer to print on my Galaxy 1. I printed it along with a few other Halloween models. Birdie has a surprising number of colors. I used these D&D Army Painter paints for most of the details. I mixed this Vallejo turquoise with a sample of old blue paint I had from MSP for the base of the body. You'll notice I have a D&D Illithid skin purple on this side away from the others. This is because it's interestingly made by Vallejo instead of Army Painter. I thought it was mildly interesting. I mixed those blues with some white to get the color just how I wanted it. And then some white for the details like his chest and his eyes. And orange for the feet. I'm happy enough with how it turned out. It's not my favorite figure. Damn it! Boom Boo always scared me as a kid. There's just something so sinister about how it looked so cute and slow, then it would suddenly become a frightening creature. I really like the Mummy Knuckles character in Sonic Force's Speed Battle. He has a Boom Boo who travels with him. He also has a boost power-up and an attack where you can shoot the Boom Boo at other players. It has a nice rubber band effect. I really like the style in Speed Battle as well, so for mine I mixed together my favorite elements from all the different designs over the years. It started as just a sphere in ZBrush and some cubes for the arms. I sculpted them into a rough, natural shape that used the arms to keep the figure up, similar in pose to a gorilla. Then I carved out eyes and a mouth. I used the clay brush tool to add in the threads, and then detailed them using tools that cut into the surface. Then I added a noise texture to the entire body, hoping for a rough skin in the final print. Boom Boo was a simple paint job, but I forgot that I used some paint pens here as well. You'll see them later in the video, the links are in the description. I did only a light spray with the Army Painter Ash Gray primer. Then I was able to go back over with a dry brushed white to make all the details pop. These acrylic paint pens give a lot of control over the placement of the color. They were perfect for painting these threads. I filled the eyes and the mouth with a lot of black wash. I realized just by chance that the wash was making the other paints kind of smear across the surface, so I used my finger to get this really cool effect. It was a nice happy accident. The eyes were going to be fully black, but when I started, I just loved how creepy the small pupils made them look, so I kept them that way. Then I used a lighter brown, almost a tan, for the details on the threads. Now he's ready to put on my shelf and give me nightmares, just like when I was a kid. This little Halloween project turned into a huge video, and I've decided to make Reaper Metal Sonic separately. But the good news is that video is premiering just the day after this one, so you won't have to wait long. I'll also be putting Reaper Metal Sonic kits up for sale on that same day, so keep an eye out. I'm really excited for this video. I used a few unconventional paints for this figure, like some airbrush metal and UV glow-in-the-dark paint. It was a very challenging project and worthy of its own spotlight, and I'm excited to share it with you. Time to shout out all the people who watched the stream. Choppus, Hoovaloo, YBZ, Maxi, Pro Tyler Adventures, Sparklewolf 404, Guardian Sora, Supersonic 1223, Yarn Yoshi World, Votable Globe, Sonic and Friends, Malamations, Wisp the Geek, Freddy and Friends, Highwell Plays, Pink GameCube, Butterfly, Grenade, Nitro Grenade, Pit Penguin 123, Stop Motion YouTube, Velocity Studios, The Great Arlo Man, IWW Caleb, Martin McBride, Go Dreamer 00, VicFet, Flesh Grinder, Sonic World 64, and Pataton 79. Thank you all so much for your support and for watching this video. And happy Halloween!